I grew up in Cameroon in West Africa, which is like 6,000 miles away from where I am right now in Florida. And as a kid, I was somebody who always leaned into my curiosity by instinct, but I always got in trouble for that. So I was never conforming. I was never in a box. So when all the kids knew who they wanted to be when they grew up, I said I had no idea. When they said do things this way, which was straight and linear, I wanted to zigzag. And that's why, for example, as a kid, I thought I didn't like math. I thought I hated math. And the reason why I felt that way is because I was taught to do math one way, in a linear way, with a formula. And my brain always looked at math very differently. But every time I did math a different way than the formula, my teacher got me in trouble. And that got me feeling as if I wasn't good enough. But my instinct to follow curiosity and lead with curiosity didn't change. And as a result, I went to a few steps that led me to leave Cameroon, travel to multiple countries throughout Africa and go to school there, and ultimately travel and move into the US, where I currently live. And when I first heard Sir Ken Robinson talking about curiosity and creativity, I felt almost as if somebody had given me permission, authorization to actually authentically lead with that. And that completely changed my life in terms of everything I did then, from an education standpoint as a teacher with my students, allowing them to be who they are, to smile, to laugh, to joke in the classroom, to be their whole selves, to who I was professionally and just kind of growing from one career to the other. And that's how I ended up working for MindUp, which was founded by Goldie Hawn in 2003. What's also interesting about this is that Goldie was known back then as a movie star, an award-winning actress. And when she decided to also lean into her curiosity and come up with a program in education that would focus on neuroscience, that would focus on positive psychology, that would focus on mindful awareness, and on just teaching kids how to be present in the moment and self-regulate, many people had questions about that and said, that's interesting. Why is she leaning into something like that? People think linearly, but she also was thinking in zigzags and said, I'm a dancer, I'm an actress, but I want to be in education now because I want to make the world a better place. She leaned into that. And it also happens to be that Sir Ken Robinson is friends with Goldie and was actually one of our board members for MindUp. So she pursued that curiosity and led with that curiosity. And as a result, we have a program now called MindUp that has those 4 pillars, which are teaching kids how to understand neuroscience. How does the brain work? If you can understand what triggers you, what makes you feel upset, anxious, scared, and you can realize that there are ways to self-regulate, then you can learn better, because a happier brain can learn better anyway. That's the first pillar. Second one is social and emotional learning, which is we are holistic beings. You aren't just a student in a classroom. You aren't just a teacher in a classroom. You aren't just a CEO. You are a whole person with a full experience that is impacting you from before you do your job and after your job. So same thing with the kids. If we can look at them holistically, we'll be able to tap into exactly who they are and teach them how to lean with that curiosity as well. The third pillar is positive psychology. So we have been teaching kids all around the world how to shift their perspective. You don't control what happens to you, but you control how you respond to it. And we found that if kids can learn how to shift perspective from, I'm not in control of what's happening to me, but if I react this way, if I scan the world looking for the positive, for the hopeful, for the optimistic, then I can actually live a more fulfilling life as well. And we find that kids are learning from these skills and they are able to self-regulate to see the world better as well. And fourth pillar is mindful awareness, which is a long time ago when Goldie started this program, again, in addition to being questioned about who she was to lead into education, the idea of mindfulness was not very accepted then yet. And yet she was a visionary who saw that learning how to do one thing at a time, how to listen mindfully, how to taste mindfully, how to be present with somebody would actually change the world, and it has. So we teach kids that if you learn how to be mindful with what you do, you can be more fulfilling, more productive, and actually realize the goals that you have. So those are the 4 pillars we spread all around the world. My life as a kid who left Cameroon, didn't think I liked math, didn't know if I could be an entrepreneur or if I could be okay not knowing what I wanted to do when I grew up, and thinking about Goldie, who in 2003 as an actress said, I want to change the world and create a curriculum that kids can use to self-regulate. All those things are going along with Sir Ken Robinson's message of you need to have a learning revolution. And if you want to change the system, you are the system, so change yourself. So what I've been doing, what Goldie has been doing, is directly co-signed by that message of you are the system. And as a result, right now with MindUp, to date, we have brought these principles into more than 14 countries around the world. We have impacted 170,000 teachers and educators around the world, and up to 7 million children. And all those things happen just because instead of feeling as if we had to fit in a box, instead of feeling as if we had to be linear, we embraced zigzagging, and we are embracing the fact that in order to change the world right now, we are going to keep leaning into that creativity that Sir Ken Robinson talks about. I want to close with gratitude and remind myself and everybody here is that one thing that we teach kids through MindUp is that you need to be grateful for what you have. Especially right now with COVID happening, there are so many reasons why there are things that aren't working for us. And we know that our brain has a negativity bias, so we tend to focus on what's not working. We want to shift that a little bit. Acknowledge what's not working. Work on fixing that because you are the system, like Sir Ken Robinson said, but also focus on the things that make you grateful. And I want to remind myself and all of us here that being a human being is something to be grateful for. Being healthy is enough to be grateful for. And if you are wondering if you are able to be the change in the system, remember again, you are a human being. We are the people who are designing machines that are flying. We are changing education. We are changing technology. You can do it as well. Sir Ken Robinson's work needs to continue. That's what he would want. So if you are wondering if it should be somebody else, if you should think about contacting that person and calling somebody else, realize that the message here is that you are the change yourself. So don't wait for somebody else, because if not you, then who would it be? And if not now, when would it be? Go ahead and be the change that you want to see. Thank you.
A topic that I have been thinking about recently is, does it have the same power when you do something good for somebody else and you share it so that others can witness it, versus when you do it in public or in private? So I've seen people ask online if that person is doing good things, why are they recording themselves, why are they sharing? And this is what I think about that when it comes to how the brain works. So we have these parts of our brain called mirror neurons, which is the ones that are at work when you ask somebody, for example, hey, look at your friend and smile as big as you can, and ask them to stare at you for 15 seconds, but they aren't allowed to smile. Try it at home. Have somebody do it and see. Usually most people can't do it, right? Just watching somebody smile genuinely makes you want to smile as well. And then in 3 seconds, 5 seconds, everybody's laughing and smiling. The reason why that happens is because your brain is designed to mimic, to mirror emotions and actions from people around you. That's why if you are meeting with somebody and having a conversation, try to mimic their behavior, or watch the way they're behaving. You're going to see that sometimes you start behaving like them or they start behaving like you. If you go like this, next thing you know, they're doing that too. When you nod, somebody starts nodding. So our brains are wired to actually copy each other. And so when I think about acts of kindness and being kind to other people, when somebody else is witnessing it, you're helping the person that you helped, but the people who watched it are compelled to also do something kind for somebody else, like paid forward. Like if you go to Starbucks and somebody who was in line in front of you decides to pay for you, without thinking about it, your brain wants you to then pay for the person behind you. That's why it's a thing. So I think that ultimately the act of kindness matters individually, but having witnesses, sharing with other people, it's actually amplifying the kindness. It's actually maximizing the impact you can have on more people. So ultimately, I would say, if you are genuinely doing acts of kindness, there is nothing wrong with sharing them. In fact, our brains were designed to copy each other, so the more people can witness it, your kids, your friends, your family, your colleagues, the more people are going to copy that and be kind to others. So don't be shy about sharing your act of kindness.